you so much, sir, for joining in. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
Thank you. So you have been to this event. How do you look at the events such as eINDIA? Does it catalyze the process of e-initiative at different level of governance and organization?
Certainly, it does, because I think you have been doing this event for many years now, and every year I do see people from government coming here, secretaries, the important decision makers, the people from the industry, and I do see sometimes users themselves. So I think this is a good place where all of them can meet together, share the thoughts, and there are so many things happening in the country. We need to share some good practices from one state to another, from one application to another, debate it, criticize it, evaluate it, appreciate it. So you have been doing all of that very well. Appreciate it in the sense of awards that you give. It's a good thing that you are doing, so that people appreciate things. So I think in terms of catalyzing this whole e-governance movement in the country, I think you are doing a great job by making it happen.
Mastek is involved in many projects in India. You are working with the government sector,
yes,
especially in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Orissa on a different sector. Actually,
yes,
somewhere in the taxes, somewhere in the social justice
yes,
department. So how has been the response by the government? Because it's always been complained that the governments are lethargic to the new initiative. So how do you find that? And why only 3 states? Why not go to the rest of the state?
Sure. The point is, government at a larger level is interested in making e-governance happen. I don't think there is any doubt today. I have been in industry for last 30 years, and I have gone through the days where people were not even willing to pronounce computer as a word, as politicians or bureaucrats, because that was considered anti-people. From there we have come long way here, where there is already a buy-in at all the levels of government, whether it's an executive as a minister or a legislator as a MP or MLA, and bureaucracy and education. So that is all done. The challenges, however, are in terms of how fast they can move, whether the processes that are required to make it happen faster have kept pace or not. Add to it the complexity that government, being what government is, they are accountable to multiple stakeholders. They have to worry about the citizens, they have to worry about government and other processes which have been framed, they have to worry about media. So that adds another complexity to the whole thing. So all that ends up being processes which are not moving as fast as we would like to be. But I think we should start from positive part, that from where we have come long way to where we are. We can always do better, there is no question about it. But I appreciate government's enthusiasm to make IT happen and be closer to citizens. That should be applauded.
You founded Mastek, and it has been into business since long time. You yourself has a big experience working with the organization.
Sure.
You have been to the different chair of the government, FICCI and others. Changes are inevitable. Somehow the government will have to do it. Even your organization must have been going
through
it. What are the major initiatives that you are looking to embark on? And whatever the vision that you thought at the time of probably founding the organization, how happy on that front you are today?
See, when Mastek started, the name of Mastek itself was Management and Software Technology. What it meant was, it was later compressed into Mastek because it was a long name. Idea was that we need to use software for improving effectiveness of organizations in whatever form, increasing performance, reducing cost, improving quality. So the focus always was on solutions. Focus was always on providing a turnkey solution to the customers. So we started in India, unlike many others. We didn't start with just outsourcing as a proposition, but solution as proposition. So along the way we built a lot of products, whether it was advertising agency or manufacturing, so on and so forth, and we are here. So we are driving that agenda of solutions now globally. There are two kinds very broadly the solution. One is IP driven solutions, which is where our insurance practice is based, which is we have general insurance or PNC products, and we have life insurance where we have complete suite of solutions. That means right from selling the insurance till claims and financial accounting. You may call it an ERP in some sense. So that is offered worldwide, both of these products, and in some of these segments we are one of the top 2 or 3 players in US. So that is a great satisfaction that we have made some breakthroughs from an Indian company perspective to become a solution provider, because Indian companies are not seen as a complete solution provider, and particularly so IP based. So that's one part. The second part is solutions based on large systems integration of various solutions together and custom made solutions, which we have been very successful in government and also in financial services and so on. And in UK, for example, government has been a great success for us, whether it is in the congestion reduction charging in London, or the spine project which we did along with BT for the healthcare to provide 50 million people electronic health records. Now that's a big application, one of the largest healthcare applications in the world, one of the top 5 largest database in the world, and so on and so forth. Now these again are solutions, because they impact ultimately the end customer, which is what we are talking today. I can say that 60 million people have some interface with what I have done in UK and so on. So that's the second. So when I look back, I do see with satisfaction that we have been able to stick to that core principle or core DNA of the company to make the difference.
One of the area that I would like to focus is on public distribution solution, which is really required. You might have gone through some of the media reports that majority of our food grains or other thing is misused or properly not used because we are not able to manage it. You are also involved in public distribution solution via technology. So how technology can bridge the gap of quality service or probably minimize the wastage at different level?
As you rightly said, PDS is one of the largest system which has impact on the poor people in BPL. And unfortunately that system is not working best of the capacity for various reasons, right? Starting from distribution of food grains to the shops, which is a long chain, starting from godowns of FCIs and others to, there is a lot of pilferage, there is a lot of mediators and all kinds of things. So first thing, what comes there itself is much less or much different probably sometimes than what is required.
Technology somehow to
yeah. So technology can be used in all of that supply chain, if I may call it, to track the movement and even getting an online information even to a shop saying that when is his next grain quota is coming, etc., and removing the theft. So that's one big part. The second part is on the demand side, which is about citizens' interface with the shop, where again there are a lot of issues. People have grains but they do not get. Some people who are really poor do not have card, and so on and so forth. So some of this system can be now worked very well, of course, with Aadhaar, where it can be identified, and then you can see that really legitimate people get the whole thing. And then in between both of these is IT required right at the shop itself, where you can use their inventories and their movement and their authentication and all other things can be done. So if we put all these 3 things together, supply side, demand side and actual distribution side, we have a great potential to do something.
You are involved with some of the project with the government, and probably you must be. So is there any plan to go to some other states also, talk to some other players also, enlarge your organization presence in India, provide service to the more state? Are you in talk with any other state?
Sure. See, what we have done is, if you look at the kind of things we are doing, basically we in some form are aligned to the government's idea of growth with inclusion.
Exactly. Why I ask you,
Yeah.
Maharashtra, Gujarat, Odisha, these are bigger states, they are promising a state. Leadership is quite active. But for India to grow and prosper, some of so-called Bimaru state, the UP, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, these are the bigger states, they have to encompass it. So all those IT technology which could be leveraged to include people in the main system, somehow we have to focus there. So do you have a vision? Mastek has a vision for those states. Probably you can interact with the politician, the secretaries, other people, other party involved there. Somehow you can provide some services to them. Because ultimately that is going to reduce
Sorry.
not only the cost, but also reduce the time, which will benefit to the intended beneficiary.
Correct. I think your thoughts are absolutely correct in terms of leveraging it all over India. So what we were trying to do all this time was first to establish what we are about in government, so that we can take that positioning all around the country, because there is no point in doing various things at various places. You should have something which is people identify you with. So then they will say, okay, if there is anything like this to be done, we will call Mastek. That's one advantage. The second advantage from the cost side to the customer is that if we have done some applications of a particular type in few states, then leveraging them at other places becomes that much easier, because we know how to do it, we know how to implement it, we have software developed, so cost reduction also can be done, etc., etc. So that's why we were not going so fast unless we establish in few places our success, which has happened very well as you described. And if you look at it in one line, the success is around growth with inclusion, which is what government is doing.
Exactly.
What do we mean by that? We are doing all the systems which are required to do growth in a state. Sales tax is the main growth engine, which is 70–80% of the revenues of any state. So we are going and saying, look, put this in order, your improvement in the revenues, your leakages of people not paying sales tax is so high. If you can trap that, you can always increase it by a very high percentage. So grow. But that is not enough. We need to see that that growth and money that we have got is done with inclusive to the people we most need. That's why we are doing the systems that very much are related to those kind of things, which have a social impact, whether it's a e-scholarship, whether it is many other things that we are doing, whether even giving houses, to poor people through a good lottery system, or many other things. I'm sure with Desh, my colleague, will talk more about those systems that we are doing. But the point I'm saying is, we want to take that as a positioning, including PDS that you have described, that we could do it. Now we are getting into Narega. So Narega is again same thing. It is about inclusive growth. The money comes from sales tax. Money is well distributed. If it is through Narega, it will help everyone. So we want to position around that all our applications, and then go with that offering at other states, which will be better than just going all around immediately. Because if we go all around immediately, the benefits may not come to our customers as fast as what we are now.
And one more thing, the India is very diverse, so probably the solution has to be diverse. You can't standardize everything.
Yes, that is also.
Every state has their unique way of looking at problems and solutions. So let me ask you one question on that. You are in 3 states or 4 states, or more than that. Has the response been different in different states?
I would say yes, in the sense that the difference could be because of various reasons. Difference at a very high level sometimes could be the push from the top, starting from Chief Minister, can create an environment of participation, coordination and faster movement, etc., can happen. So that is one difference that comes through. The second difference comes sometimes because of the person in charge, a secretary there of a particular department, who himself or herself is very much interested, IT savvy, very progressive, wants to move things fast, wants to take ownership, accountability. So that is another variability which comes from one place to other. And third, of course, is this whole complexity of the application itself. See, if it is mired into so many different aspects where there could be political interference, there will be some vested interest, then the implementation of those systems become extremely difficult. Okay, because that then it gets into some people trying to.
Chaos.
So when all these three factors are imposed one after another, there are some systems which will go through very well in a particular state. There are some places where even a good state, some system may not work, and so on. So I would not put a blanket statement that these states are good at that. It really contextual, and we have seen that all these three factors, how they affect, we have seen, and that is the experience we have learned, that we check whether these things are in place or not before getting into system.
Let me ask you one very general question, not from the Mastek, but from a general point of view. You went to IIT, you did MTech, you founded an organization, you have a long experience. Nandan Nilekani wrote in his book, Imagining India, that India's young generation, more than 60% people are below 30 or 25.
Yes.
If we could channelize them in a proper way, probably we'll be providing labor to the world, and that was described as a population dividend. How do you look at the youth, and are we on the right track? Are we doing enough to channelize them in the right direction? There are certainly progress in the higher education, primary education. Entrepreneurships are coming, new business model is being adopted. What is your take on that? How do you look at down the line? Because things are changing. When you were a student, probably think style of teaching and learning was completely different. Today is completely different. Even 5 years back when I was in college, it was different. So how do you look at the India's story? Somebody say it's gone back, probably it will be back again. So what is your sense of India?
My sense of India is very optimistic. That is the way I start, that today's generation is much more enabled by three ways. First way, it is enabled much better now because of technologies that we see. We didn't have Facebooks, we didn't have a website, we didn't even have internet when we were young. Okay, so that is, we have studied ourselves. I have studied my engineering on a lamp and not even power, electricity, so let alone internet. I didn't even have a power at home. So those were the days where we were completely disabled because the tools were not available. So that's one. The second part was the system of governance was much more archaic, much more business unfriendly, if I may use, and much more poor government in terms of funds available. So the whole infrastructure was very poor. I won't say it has reached some great excellence, but at least it is better, much better. So we struggled our life struggling with it. Today's young people don't have to do it. They call, it used to take me 15 years to get telephone line in Mumbai when I started Mastek, okay. Now you see, we get every 15 seconds a request to buy one more mobile. So you have this whole different situation which is there. So that is factor number two. Factor number three is that today's older generation, if I may call it, ourselves and many others who have gone through all this, are much more open-minded because we have gone through an era of change which we have seen. So we are already sold to the freedom of young people, giving them good opportunity, which was not there earlier, not because they didn't want to give, it is just that they grew in an environment which was much more different. So the people, the the generation above 45, 50 is still much more open today and much more seen the world. So when you put all these three things together, a good older generation, good infrastructure and technology, I think you can't be in a better situation than what it is now. However, are we leveraging it enough? No, not yet. I think we have a long way to go to make that happen. We are constraining their energies in many different forms, which is still infrastructure is not up to the mark. Still we have older generation or generation above 45 still has to be much more open to allow them to take risk. It is still there in Indian community that business means doing something not so good, you better get a job and so on. So those things have still not gone completely, they are better. And technologies are there up to date, so to that extent it's fine, but I think we have not leveraged.
Definitely we have moved ahead somehow what it used to be. Thank you so much for talking.